This is the Three Skeevers podcast.
All right, episode 13 of the Three Skeevers podcast with Grim from Grim's Forge Gaming and myself, Icy, with Icyfire Gaming. How you doing, Grim?
Good. How are you?
I am doing okay. I had a thing I was going to say. I thought about it earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, but I forgot it.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, I guess, whatever. I can't for the life of me remember what it was. It was something about ESO, of course.
Yeah. What about your video I just saw of you falling through the floor?
That's for Thursday, so we'll save that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess I'm still enjoying playing ESO, just because I'm kind of a little bit more PvE focused now. You know, trying to do achievements and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm having fun, but that's not what this episode's about. This episode's going to be about the state of PvP.
Yeah.
And the Crimson Dream.
The Crimson Dream. If you're not wearing crimson, you're doing it wrong.
you ain't living your best life if you ain't wearing Crimson Twilight.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't mind my kids running upstairs and roughhousing with the dog and making the dog bark. So if you guys hear that, it's completely normal. Carry on.
Yeah, one day we'll get them to close the door. So
yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right, take it away, sir.
Yeah. So, first, I'd like to start with, I think a lot of the content creators are voicing, most of the content creators that gear around PvP have recognized the immense overtuning of Crimson and the set. And so a lot of people like, Is There No One Else? Really, really great mind and does great products. If you haven't checked him out on YouTube, check him out. Is There No One Else? But and he plays on console, plays on PC and everything. So he has a real good grasp of what's going on across all the platforms. But he did a great video on Crimson, and you definitely need to check that out. But anyways, I put a Crimson build together, and it was on my Hulk Smash video about a month ago. And that particular video has 3 separate builds in it, so it's definitely worth the click. But I have a 5300 weapon damage Crimson build on there. And anyways, a gentleman responded, Crimson isn't even that good. It's pretty easy to outplay. That is, if there isn't a mindless 0 around the wearer of Crimson, then it's impossible. And so 1v1, Icy and I were talking about this a little while ago. If you haven't, Icy, do you have the stats, or can you read the 2-piece, 3-piece, 4-piece, and then the 5-piece for Crimson? Just at this point, everybody should know what it is, but is your assistant?
Yeah, Veronica, she's got it for me.
Thanks, Veronica.
Yeah, the first 3 lines are max health, then healing taken, which I think is just another way of saying healing received. Then the 4th line is max health, and the 5th line is after taking damage, you surround yourself in an 8-meter mist of blood. After 2 seconds, the mist is violently siphoned into your body, dealing 8,220 bleed damage to nearby enemies and healing you for 100% of the damage done. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds, which means that it's on a 6-second cooldown, because the first 2 seconds, as soon as it procs, the first 2 seconds are part of that 8-second cooldown. So once you get that heal burst, once you get the damage and heal coming in, 6 seconds later, the process is going to start again.
Yeah. And so they'll have this growing red circle around them that expands out to that, 8 meters is what it said?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll expand out to the 8 meters, and then it'll, burst damage or pop. And anyone that's within that field, NPCs or player characters, will get hit for damage, and 100% of the damage heals the wearer. And so couple things about about Crimson is, here's my answer to the gentleman. It is free damage and free healing. It is buffed by Malakath currently and doesn't require an investment into max magicka, max stamina, or weapon or spell damage to do either. 1v1, it can easily be outplayed. The true problem is running into full 4-man groups, running it in BGs, and ball groups in Cyrodiil and the Sewers. 1 Crimson can be healed through if needed. 2 becomes a little bit more problematic. 3, 4, 5, and more is silly, unavoidable damage. And so that's where we kind of get into the problem, is that what separates Crimson from other sets is this. Crimson is in addition to whatever damage that you're doing or whatever your rotation is, and whatever healing you're doing. It's in addition to. It's going to do that on its own. And Icy and I were talking a little while ago, and I said, could you imagine just stand 4 people around you wearing Crimson, okay? And say you're a Stamsork and your Hurricane's going, it's procking Crimson. Even if all 4 of those Crimsons weren't aligned to pop at the same moment, because if they pop at the same moment, right, which they probably will, it'll be close if damage initiated to them was at the same time, it's going to be, well, with Malakath, you can get a 12k, 11k to 12k tooltip on Crimson. Malakath should not be buffing Crimson, and it is. Okay, but you can get an 11k, 12k tooltip. So if it's 12k, you're going to hit a player character for half of that, 6k, and then you take into their account to their resistances and stuff like that. But let's just say it's 4k damage. You're going to get hit by 4k damage by all 4 of these Crimson wearers at the same time. That's 16k burst damage. Okay, how many rounds of Crimson going off, if those guys were just standing there not doing any of their other abilities, how many rounds of Crimson going off would it take you to die or to survive while you killed each one of them one at a time, right? And the immense amount of effort that you'd have to put into killing them, and they're literally just standing there, right? Maybe they're buffed up or whatever. They're all heavy armor wear. And that's the ridiculous part. They're not going to be just standing there, right? They're going to be doing abilities and healing, have additional healing coming in and things like that. And that's where Crimson poses the biggest problem. 100% free damage, 100% free heals on top of everything that they'd normally be doing at the sacrifice of less either weapon damage or less max stats, right? But it doesn't matter because Crimson doesn't require max stats. It doesn't require more spell damage or more weapon damage to do its job. That lacking will only affect the effectiveness of your actionable abilities. And so that's kind of where Crimson comes into a problem. What's your thoughts on all that, Icy?
So I guess to that guy's point in his comment, and even that video that I showed you that me and Emma ran into with that super necro tank with Crimson.
Yeah.
If it's a small scale fight like that, you can kind of outplay it.
Yeah.
Didn't say you could beat it because the guy's still super tanky and stuff. But when you can see the proc come off, if you're quick on your feet, yeah, it's avoidable.
Yeah.
Equally,
and what's he do if he's smart though? That guy, if he realizes you guys are getting out of the Crimson proc, what should he be doing?
Trying to get in it.
Yeah, trying to
get as close to you as possible so that his enemies are in it.
How many mobs are in the next room from that room where you engaged him at?
If he referring to my video?
Yeah, if he would have ran across the bridge into that room over there, how many mobs could he have gathered up and been back at full health? Like when you had him on the verge of death.
There's about 8 to 10 more zombies in that room.
Yeah.
In the next room over.
10. So let's say it's 10. They'll make the math a little easier. And let's round down the damage of Crimson and just say it's only going to do 10k damage to those mobs. And it does true damage to mobs, right? It does 100% damage to them and heals him for 100% damage, right? So what would happen to his health if he had 2k health left, gathered everything up, and Crimson went off?
Oh yeah, he would have got a nice little burst.
Yeah, and then your job is like trying to kill all the mobs because they're feeding the dude, keeping him alive.
And then it just becomes a game of, okay, follow him to the next room, kill all the ads, but while also somehow doing damage to him.
Yeah, maintaining pressure.
And then kill him before he has enough time to realize that he needs to run off to the next room. And then now you're just chasing him constantly. And it can be done if you're persistent, and of course the guy lets up on the gas or something like that and you get him. It's possible. Or maybe you pull in a banner to come help you, if it helps you, if it decides to help you or not. So my thing is this. Because I feel like all sets can be beat, but once you're overwhelmed with a lot of people doing it, then you can't really fight it too much. I mean, you can, but I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were saying that in their Cyrodiil group, their leader has everybody wearing Silistrix monster helmet. And I didn't make sense to me, but then I thought about it, and I realized, and I had a moment from one of my videos a couple of months ago where somebody was using Silistrix, and I was like, why is he using that set here? That doesn't make any sense. But after this dude made that Cyrodiil comment and said that a bunch of his guys in the group are running it, it made perfect sense to me. Because it's a similar situation to Crimson, where you have multiple people getting a AoE stun proc every 6 to 8 seconds.
Yeah.
That's constantly going off in a fight. Yeah. That sounds awesome. Now just imagine you got this Crimson. Say you got a Crimson guy with, I'll just bring up the scenario that we were trolling about earlier, like 30 minutes or an hour ago. You got a Crimson wearer with Silistrix with more cooldown just for the lulz, and he's a sorcerer, a red guard, because the descendants of Yakuta, they're using that more cooldown sword to generate their soul sword, right?
Yeah,
they're sorcerers. Yeah, and they're sorcerers because they use bound armament. So you got more floating swords everywhere. You got Crimson Twilight popping off. You got
Hurricane going off.
You got Hurricane going off, and you got Silistrix going off. Now times that by, we'll just keep it simple. We'll say 4 people. 4 Silistrix popping off, AoE stunning constantly whenever your CC immunity is off. Crimson Twilight going off, and now you have 4 more cooldowns, floating swords flying around, chasing you wherever you go. So, and oh yeah, almost forgot. Didn't want to forget the proc stat that all the Sorks are wearing, because why not? Just throw that all in together. It sounds like a grand old time. Okay?
So that's the current state of PvP. Everybody have a great day.
See you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
And it sounds like fun. Would we ever do it? No.
Yeah.
But I know there's going to be people out there who will, because we've seen it. We've seen ball groups. You're so worried about a Nightblade bomber coming in and blowing your stuff up during mid-year mayhem, but forget that. Just have a bunch of guys wearing procs that just run up on you, and they just explode you in your face, and you can't do nothing. And now I know mid-year mayhem that's coming up in like next month or so. I'm just assuming. I don't think they made an announcement yet, but now all those proc stat ball groups that we saw several months ago, now they're all going to be wearing Crimson Twilight and proc stat and Crimson Twilight. Oh, it's going to be a fun time.
So I'm putting together, it used to be, this is a very old term, but it's called a cannonball build. And it's a mag DK cannonball build. And basically it's utilizing proximity detonation and take flight or ferocious leap. And then you're going to use deep breath or inhale whichever one on impact. And you basically just take flight into the group as your procs deck goes off, and your deep breath and inhale, summon that in, and then that explodes, and hit talons so nobody can get away. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Well, I'm going to throw Crimson on that. I'm going to throw Crimson on that. And so that's a build I'm working on right now. Basically just told you half the build right there. But, old school cannonball build.
Yeah, and I guess so. What's the difference between a ball group wearing Proxted versus a ball group all wearing Crimson? It's the fact that the Proxted actually requires skill to use. Would you say?
Yeah,
And Crimson is just initiation. Yeah, you have to be active instead of a passive defense where you don't have to do anything except take damage. Is that the main point of the problem? Like why you would. Because if ball groups are doing it, why would you not nerf procs that ball groups are using, but you nerf Crimson?
Yeah, and that very thing is amplified times 2. The problem is twice as bad as that sounds, because not only does it freely do the damage, it freely heals you. And those are 2 abilities that require resource exhaustion. We have to spend resources to do damage, or we have to spend resources to heal under most cases. And this set is doing both of those for free and isn't held to the standards of, it's not scaled off max mag, max stam. It's not scaled off weapon damage or spell damage, and it's only buffed by Malakath. So problem, that's a problem. So,
and I guess for the proc stat, just before we move on to something else, is you'd have to, I guess, instead of just mindlessly, hey, we're all gonna put proc stat on all our builds, regardless of what we're running, stamina characters, tank characters, magic characters, whatever. You technically have to build around proc stat, right?
yeah.
If you're gonna ball group it, when you're just overloaded by a bunch of people doing it, you're overloaded effectively with it, right? Or not really?
Well, yes. Yeah, it's terrible. Let me paint a scenario for you. I want to know what your initial reaction would be. You are on Senna. Senna is Icy's CC tank or CC PvPer. Okay, how would you describe Senna?
My melee support stam DK.
Melee support stam DK, and he's very ultra aggressive with her. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's the continual pressure of immobilization and stunning, and he'll run people out of stamina. He's a instigator, a harasser. That's how he plays it. You're on Senna, and let's say we have our five man squad. List our 5-man squad real quick, just by name. Who would that be? Just off top of your head, name 5 people we're running with.
So, me, you.
Yep. Who am I on?
Oh, I gotta list people's characters too.
Just class. Am I on Frostfangs? We'll say.
Okay, I'm on Senna. We'll put you on. We'll say Storm Metro, just because I like Storm Metro. He's a pretty cool guy.
All right, I'm a Magicka sorcerer.
We'll take Rotten on his Stamsork.
Yep.
We'll take Emma on his Witcher Bowman.
Yep.
And
Bacon.
There you go. Perfect.
Bacon on his werewolf, right?
Yeah, Bacon's always good on Saturday mornings too.
Bacon's good on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
So that's our squad, okay? You're up front. You're a frontliner on that. You're our initiator. You're our instigator. And let's say we are on the flag in one of the districts, and around the corner comes a 10-man ball group, DC. They start coming to us, and you're like, all right, boys, get on your shields. We're getting ready to go in, right? And you see all 10 of them hit procs debt, and then you see the mobs that they're running by that are shooting the random little arrows as they're coming to us start triggering their
Crimson.
And you can tell that this is a 10-man group, all wearing crimson and all we're using procs. What's your initial thought about diving into that?
I probably wouldn't. So am I diving into it? Am I mid leap when I see this happening and
No,
you
no,
freeze
we're
frame and
still
it's
on the
like,
flag. We're still on the flag. We see them. They just made the corner, middle of the street. The crossroads, and we're looking out there, and you can see them out there in front of us, and they're
and this is going to be our first engagement with this.
this is our first engagement.
I'm not looking forward to this.
I'm not looking forward to it either. It's just ridiculous.
And depending on how much Telvar we had, if we had no Telvar and we just got there and then this thing rolls around, I'll jump in to see what happens. But even then, those 10 numbers, I want to see. That's the thing though. The correct play would be to like just kite them out into a building or something so we could kind of thin the herd a little bit. But
Yeah.
then even then, you got Crimson and Proxtet in a small ass building.
Yeah.
That's not really gonna cut it. So we'd have to somehow. And again, it's a 10-man Zerg.
Yeah. So
There's
here's
only
the
so
thing.
much you could do.
Yeah.
With that.
Here's the thing about that, and how intimidating and how scary that is. We've only listed 2 things that they have. They're wearing crimson. That's all it. They're just wearing crimson. And we've only assigned 1 ability on their bar, Proxtet.
Lol.
They have we've only addressed 2 things. They have full. There's support healers in the group. There's
They haven't even used ultimates yet.
They haven't used ultimates yet. We have, and we're just talking about a Proxtet group with Crimson right now, and how much of a problem that's going to be. So,
I'd have to go in. I wouldn't even ferocious sleep. If I was gonna go in just to see what was gonna happen, I'd
corrosive.
pop. Oh, I wouldn't even pop corrosive. I'd go in with the shield discipline ultimate and spam absorb missile to give me that overshield because it's a 0 cost when my ulti's up, and then
And you can gauge the damage.
yeah, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be dead as soon as my ultimate is over. I can't shield stack anymore, and all my resources get drained instantly, and that's it. Yeah.
So that is the problem. Proxdet is nice and has a damage multiplier for every enemy target it hits, and it doesn't even need to be our squad. It could be those NPCs that were running along with them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's multiplied. It's multiplying the damage, and we're getting hit by 10 people's Proxdet and 10 people's Crimson, and that they're 2-man short of a 12-man squad. So,
Yeah, and we're just five people.
5 guys trying to make your way, trying to be heroes. So
Yeah, and in a situation like that, I'd be like, man, we need more numbers to fight this.
yeah,
Because it's that, or I'd have to change the tunes, right? Since you told me to pick people or pick their characters before you gave me the scenario. If this came across, then we'd have to change, right? Because I know Ryan has his negate on his Sork, so that would be useful. And
yeah,
then if you're on Storm Atro, I'd probably switch to Yennefer in this case because I could pop my totem, I could pop my Colossus, or I
yeah,
could pop the Icy Rage as well.
yeah.
And
We'd need
Emma,
the negate. We'd need
yeah,
it.
we definitely need the negate. And Emma's also got Colossus, so we could double Colossus on there. And
So now,
Bacon's got a couple of his tunes, so we could probably. His Werewolf would always be good, but I'm not sure what his whole roster looks like.
yeah.
But
So
I'm sure
we've
he's got something.
effectively. I don't know that negate shuts down Crimson, does it? I don't think it does.
It doesn't shut down Crimson, but it does shut down the Proxtet, yeah. But
Now,
I guess if they cast a Proxtet before they enter it, then it doesn't really do much.
yeah. And another thing too, let's say it was the most well-placed negate that you've ever seen, and he literally shuts down all 10 of their. He just expended a what cost ultimate to shut down their first click of a button. And they're going to be unsilenced in how many seconds?
If there's not in it, because the negate actually lasts for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah. If they're moving, if they move out of it, or their leader says, everybody move to the left. We're moving out of the negate. Smooth silence is back up. Trigger your procs debt, and so we effectively bought ourselves, say, 4 seconds, 5 seconds before they charge arm procs debt, and then 8 seconds for it to explode. So we bought ourselves 15 seconds. Meanwhile, Crimson's still doing whatever it's going to do, and they still have their ultimates, and yeah.
Honestly, now that I think about it more, I think we could beat it.
We could. We would have to throw ourselves at it enough to, and this isn't even hypothetical. This is exactly what's going to happen.
Oh yeah,
Again.
but
This is
honestly,
exactly what's going to
I
happen.
think I think we can beat it because we have to stick to one of the areas in the districts. We go into one of those buildings where you have to go up the stairs, and then what we do is I'm on Yennefer. I have to figure out who you would be on, but Emma's on his Witcher, so we have a Colossus. I have a Colossus or an Icy Rage I could put down. I've also got my Totem that's gonna do an AoE CC stun, a fear, and then with Rotten's negate, we just need two big AoE ultimates. So either we're all going to be having to run Ring of the Wild Hunt because that proc stack group with Crimson,
Yeah.
they're going to be speeding through with their Nightblade refreshing path. So everybody's got major expedition and just going to be coming in super hot.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is funnel them in because people are going to get caught up because they're not used to being out here. So they're going to get caught up on barrels, on crates, silly things like that, and get separated from the group. But it just takes one coordinated alt dump, and I think we can do it. Who would you put for that situation? If I've got Yennefer, Emma's on his Witcher, so we've got potentially two Colossus if we need one, but I'll probably use Icy Rage for the AoE immobilize, and I've also got my Totem. We've got Rotten's Negate, and who would you put in this situation? Because I think we need a big CC. Thanos. Thanos could work. I think no, Thanos is too slow though. I'd probably say the Witcher.
The Witcher or Elsa or Voldemort that I'm working on right now. I think.
Oh, freaking yeah! There you go.
Yeah.
Voldemort could do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what Bacon could bring? I'm not sure. I don't know his full roster of tunes. I just know he runs werewolves a lot.
He runs werewolf really well. He has a lot of other things, but his werewolf, he's already 1vxing on it. So that would probably be his person.
Okay.
To get the most out of, like if you were to ask him who's your champion, if you had to represent yourself with one champion, he'd say, "Oh, I'm jumping on my wolf." So.
Okay. Honestly, dude, I think we could beat it. I think we could beat that scenario. Like, yeah, Senna would dive in, and then I'd be like, okay, we need to switch tunes because these guys aren't going anywhere. And then I'd come back. Yeah.
Is that us just completely underestimating the other 9 abilities on their bars?
Yeah, it is ridiculous, but that's why I kind of had my reservations in the beginning when you asked me what do I think about this, because I think just like with all things in life, you can beat it. You can beat these things if you give people enough time, but I think majority of people just don't. They're never going to be able to beat it, and they're just going to keep complaining. But the people who take PvP a little bit serious, I'm not asking for much, but who know that, hey, you got to step out. You got to just step out the red. And that's the other thing I noticed when we were watching my video. I have my enemy colors cranked up to like super hot pink, so it's very noticeable. If you're just using the default red settings, I don't know how noticeable Crimson Twilight proc is if people know the range to get out of it, if they don't have their enemy AoE ground ability or gear settings set the way like I do. So,
and another set that you could pair with Crimson that's stupid, and I've run into it already, so people are already wearing it, is Crimson and Plague Slinger. And Plague Slinger is doing a ridiculously high amount of damage right now. And those two sets together we've got Crimson that heals you and does damage for free. It's you know, it is what it is. And then we have Plague Slinger that's doing damage for free. You need to be taking damage. So all of your resources, all your damage, all of your effort just needs to go into sustaining and doing damage as well, but resistance is. And that's what Is There No One Else had on his video. He's like, you want to know the problem with proc sets is proc sets are not scaling off weapon damage and are not scaling off of max stats right now. And so the people that are wearing the proc sets are allowed the benefit of building into being just resistant or more recovery. And all they need to do is sustain and stay alive, and their armor sets are going to do the damage and heal them for them. And that's a sad place to be, I think, in PvP. So I really think this scenario that I just painted today is exactly going to be what the next Mid-Year Mayhem is going to be. So,
As much as I'm not looking forward to it, I'm kind of am, because
yeah,
I want to
I'm gonna
see if
test
we can.
it.
I want to see if we can beat it. That's why.
Yeah.
With
I can
this,
tell you this. I queued on Frost Fangs. I don't do it often, but I queued on Frost Fangs for BG. Had some really, really good BGs. And ended up in a queue against a 4-man team that was all running Crimson, and it was just a ridiculous. And they moved together and stayed together, and free damage, free heals, and as strong as my Frost Fangs build is, I could not stand in there and fight those guys, for an extended period of time. I had to try and kite them out, use the additional movement speed from Werewolf and stuff like that. And Frost Fangs is a 1vx type build. It's a brawler. It can stand in the middle, and it could not stand in the middle against that pressure. And that was just 4 dudes, and I just sat
all
back,
wearing the same thing.
all wearing the same thing. And I just sat back and watched it, and I was just like, this is stupid. This is stupid. Like, here I'm on a werewolf, which a lot of people consider cheese, and I'm sitting back looking at all these Crimson guys going, this is stupid. So
I almost want to say I have more respect for the werewolves that don't run Crimson.
yeah.
Because when we do run into them down the sewers, and after about like 10 seconds, I don't see a Crimson proc, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
At least it gives me a little bit of a breather that we don't have to, chase this guy down forever just trying to kill him. But
Yeah, that one person that was wearing Plague Slinger and Crimson was a werewolf.
do you
Yeah.
need any more of a crutch?
He was running with another werewolf that was wearing the same thing, and he was running with a Warden support healer.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
I don't even know what to say to that.
GG.
GG, get good.
Yep.
Get good, Grim. Your build's
Yeah.
not too great. Can't beat werewolf and a healer wearing Crimson.
Yeah.
Not living your best life, as we said.
No. Yeah. So that's probably, I don't know. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. Seems like they've made some adjustments, I guess, to Venomous Smite and some of the other things. And as long as you have a cleanse, you can get that stuff off of you. If you don't have a cleanse, it will wear you out. I ran into that problem. I just did the Thor hybrid sorcerer, and I don't have a cleanse on the build. And when I get dotted up, sheer venom, venomous smite, and whatever else is out there, man, it just like a chainsaw, wee, right through his health. Yeah. So that's a thing that's out there. They're gonna get kills with that.
Yeah, that's why I like my Warden healer so much, because of that niche. No matter what comes through, no matter what crazy dots, I always have the ability to cleanse, no matter what.
Yeah, it's pretty important right now when we're in this proc meta.
So, is that it? We good?
Yeah. If you're listening to this, also we have a Discord channel. Clearly, hopefully that's how you're listening to this. You're hearing this, either you saw it as a link in Discord already, or you saw it in a link just on YouTube. You're a subscriber. But if you're not part of the Discord, jump into Discord. We try and help people out with their builds, PvP advice. If you run Imperial City at all, we spend most of our time running the sewers and farming Telvar and making money. And I would have to say we do a nice mixture of PvP and PvE. And so if you're wanting to get your toes in the water, we're a good group to do that with. And then we can also work with you all the way up to, we get into some pretty crazy fights. If you haven't seen any of the videos, there's been times where Icy and myself have fought, 20 people and killed them. So, and so if you want to jump in and experience that along with us, I'll never forget, we had someone with us, and after we wiped an AD group, he said, "Is this real life?"
That was before the Mid-Year Mayhem started, right?
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
July.
Yeah, he said, "Is this real life?"
Yeah, that was
I was like, "Yeah, this is just another day for us," but that was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So cool. I want to say we have a special announcement, but I think we'll announce it officially next week. So stay tuned for that. I don't think I want to say what it is, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Me and Grim, we're gonna have a long talk about morality and ethics before we make this announcement next week.
Right.
It's just gonna be a real quick thing, like 20 seconds or a minute, whatever, to make the thing. But yeah, so stay tuned for that next week. And do you have any final words, Grim, that you would like to say to our listeners?
Hey, I think that's it. From a PvP standpoint, keep your head up. I know we're in a proc meta right now, and here we were just talking about the cheese factor on running Crimson and stuff like that. I'm not bashing those people that are wearing Crimson. If you're wearing Crimson and living your best life or having a lot of fun, you do you. That, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is that you're enjoying your time playing this game. And if that's wearing Crimson, then wear Crimson. And so that's inside the game. If you need help in PvP, reach out to us in our Discord. It's in the descriptions below. And then outside of the game, it's 2021, and hopefully you've got New Year's resolutions. You're staying safe and healthy, and just be safe out there. World's kind of a weird place right now, so make smart decisions. So
I think we should make a t-shirt line that says, I wear Crimson Twilight.
you know what? I might have our graphics guy Ghost look at that, because
I think it'd be hilarious.
I wonder how many people would actually wear that.
Oh, I mean, it'd definitely be for the lulz, but
Yeah.
so. All right, gentlemen and ladies, listeners, we'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.
See ya. You're gonna say bye bye, Argonians.
Bye bye, Rogonian.